Welcome, everyone, to the First Name Basis podcast, where we talk about innovations that are happening in the marketplace. Today, we're going to talk about a topic that I've been really interested in. I'm an avid collector as well. We're going to be talking about NFTs, and those are non-fungible tokens. And with me today, I got the pleasure speaking with Raine Maida from Our Lady Peace. Raine, welcome to the podcast.
What's up, Sheetal? Good to see you. Are you wearing a Raptor shirt?
Always, dude.
There we go.
I'm here in Miami. I got to represent my team. I'm not going to be cheering for the Heat.
Thank you. I got to go against two. I got to go against the Clippers and the Lakers here.
Yeah, of course. How are things in California, man? Before we get started,
I think I feel the like the slow motion nightmare ending. It's the weather's great, but the restaurants are like 50% capacity. Tons of outdoor dining. Theaters are open. I got kids that are hoopers. That's starting up again. So I feel pretty optimistic. I haven't been back to my place. And I haven't been back to Toronto in like over a year and probably like 15 months now. So that's a bummer. So I'm just waiting. I think we all just want that border to open up and help them get back to normal.
Well, I'm going to join you when we're going to head back to Toronto together. Yeah. I just left. I'm already missing it. So I can't wait to go back.
You know what? I will say this. So this is the first time I haven't been in Toronto for more than probably a month, because usually between my wife and I, we're always back and forth. And it's like I've always known Toronto's one of the greatest cities in the world, but being this far away for this long, man, I miss that city a lot.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's got to take a toll. Your family, everything else is there, right?
Yeah. It's weird.
Soon. I mean, we're getting to the point where I think, we were just talking, you and I, that, hey, these vaccination rates keep going up. Canada has some coming back in the race to do, but we can be optimistic that they'll get it done. And soon we'll be back.
Yeah. And innovation, I love your podcast because, talking about innovation, it's amazing. It's kind of like, I feel like it's like everything. A musician, speaking from like an artist lens, it's always great to isolate yourself because you can really focus on stuff, and that's when the best records are made. When you kind of go away for 5 or 6 weeks and you just have to drill down on the art. And I feel like even in this space, and this is getting into the NFT thing, it's kind of all like it's crescendoed at this point, probably because of COVID more than anything else.
Mm-hmm.
It was always coming. But having people, kind of sitting at home and not able to kind of, participate in the things they used to, there's just such a buzz on it. And I think that's definitely led to this frenzy, which I'm sure we'll get into now.
Yeah, for sure. And you and Chantel have like gotten your creative juices up during this downtime also, right? Like you're starting to see this with many artists, but like you guys in particular really started saying, going back to what you love and started spending more time on that.
Yeah, it's amazing. The ability to, our lives are always so crazy just because of touring and scheduling and things like that, and travel. So and kids and dogs and all that shit. So it's like finally, we've been able to really get into some serious art and writing, and she does it, on the side as well. And it all, I think they just all feed off each other. Everyone's in such this creative space, and you have more time in a day to do stuff now. And it's amazing. Like, I just feel like that critical creative brain balance is really happening right now, where sometimes it gets, I think, the creative brain always gets suppressed because of, that's the first thing that you lose when you're overtired or you're traveling. And now that there's a little bit, for the last year, at least, you can kind of be a little bit more centered. I feel that balance is huge.
That's awesome. So we're going to be talking about non-fungible tokens, and I've recently, just being a big basketball fan, started collecting them with NBA Top Shot. I was doing the drop yesterday, and always get super excited when I'm able to get my hands on a pack. But people think I'm crazy, and they think I'm absolutely nuts as to why I collect these things. I have my explanation on what an NFT is and why I do it, but what's your explanation? Because you got into this a little bit before this wave, which is super cool.
Yeah, I mean, so I joined a company called Sing based out of Seattle back in August, and their pitch to me was basically, they're like patent savants, two really smart guys, the founders of this company, and they built this platform on desktop that really was about okay, we want to protect like the inventor. And I thought that was really interesting. Obviously that's very niche. And so as they look to like scale it out and bring it to mobile, music made sense. And so a friend of mine hooked me up with them, and I just said, yeah, look, I've done this a bunch. I love building product. I love building apps, trying to find solutions. I said, I've lived this paradigm shift in the music space, like literally from the inside out. You know,
one thing for our listeners that they don't know is that Raine has been in the technology space. We actually met because you were working on apps, and we were talking about like a whole variety of things you wanted to do in the technology space. But continue.
Yeah. So, you know, finding solutions, like ever since, you know, Sean Fanning launched Napster and started like literally taking money out of my pocket, I said, okay, F this guy, but I would be really naive not to pay attention to why this is why people are engaged in this, why this is cool. So technology, and you know, like I said, we saw the shift from obviously from vinyl to CDs to digital, where you buy a piece of music on whatever iTunes set the price at 99 cents, whatever, and then obviously into the streaming world, and somewhere in the middle of that was Napster and pirating and all that stuff. But so now we've settled into this DSP world, which is fine, but it legit takes a revenue stream out of the artist's pocket. Like there's no question if you look at that. So trying to find solutions on that. And my big thing always was, how do I connect direct? Like not being, I don't bitch about it. I was signed to Columbia Records early on in New York. I love our president there. I love the company. Signed with Sony ATV, my publisher as well. Yeah, should I've got more money when I first signed that deal? Yep. But overall, I would say, look, I'm not going to spite those guys. Like I feel like we did right by each other. The constructs that those institutions put on an artist don't work anymore. So now we're looking for other solutions. So the Sing thing, going back to Sing and their IP, I was like, look, I have a kid who's you consider next gen creator. So these kids from, I guess, Gen Z, millennial, whatever you want to call them, like that broad gap, they create probably at like 20 or 30x of what I do. So maybe in the course of a year, I make an OLP record. I make a record with my wife Chantal under Moonverse Sun. I write for some other people, but maybe we're talking like 30 songs I record. That happens. My kid does that in a week. He goes on TikTok duets, and he's recording some brilliant, talented kid in Japan puts a beautiful acoustic kind of classical chord progression on. My son Rowan goes and sings a hook, an original hook, and an original lyric on it. And I'm like, okay, what are we doing with that? Who owns that? How do we get it off the TikTok? All these questions, right? And he'll do that all week. And so I'm like, we have to figure this out for that younger generation. I have an army of people. If someone steals one of my ideas, they're going to court. They're going to go battle for me.
Right.
An artist who's independent, that's on Twitch or TikTok duets or trading, you know, beats with people or on BeatStars, whatever. It's like, they don't have that. So what I said to the guys at Sing, it's like, let's protect the IP of these kids. And there's a lot of it floating around out there. So we built a native app that is called Sing, that is available. And when you upload whatever you want, a video, an image, or an audio file, it puts it on the blockchain. And these guys bet early on Ethereum and the blockchain, which was great. And I said, this is the way it needs to do. This is like chain of custody, you know, that digital ledger. It's like, first of all, copyright. I've never copyrighted anything in my life because it's like $80 for one song. And to be able to do that on Sing and just exponentially keep doing it and build your library, I said, this is a beautiful thing for me. I actually do it. I do voice notes in the Sing, and I know now if for some reason they got out or I lost my phone, they're protected. You know, I have that chain of custody, and it's 100% better than copyright. The funny thing is that just by virtue of the technology is when you upload even this podcast, say you go upload it into Sing afterwards, it's creating an NFT. We are creating an ERC 721. So you have that NFT, and we didn't use that we didn't use that wording because no one knew what an NFT was till like 3 weeks ago. Right. So the fact that we find ourselves in this position now where we've been creating NFTs for the last 6 months is a really interesting place. Good thing is we understand the space very well and are partnered and are partnering with people that really understand it well. So we can move quickly and we're pretty agile. So we're definitely starting to take advantage of this frenzy, but you know, and we can get into it later, but that's the tip of the iceberg.
So as a listener, why would I want to own a song? Like, hey, I own a piece of this song. This song is being released other places. I can just go hear it. I get this with my Top Shot moments all the time. Well, you own a piece of a clip. Well, you can watch that clip whenever you want. Like, why? What's the allure of saying, hey, I'm going to go and own a piece of Raine's creative juices here on the Sling platform?
I think there's so many points that people cross pollinate in the NFT world, and we're just starting to realize it. You talk about, owning a basketball. Like, I can see LeBron dunk a million times on Instagram or YouTube. Why would you want to own that card? Well, I think what's the sticky thing there is they're tradable, and there's scarcity, right? And you're trying to get, it's like hockey cards. If you understand hockey cards or baseball cards, you're going to understand this basketball craze that's going on.
I compared it to the Antiques Roadshow. God, I watch the show when it's on, just Saturday afternoon, dumb pleasure to watch. I have no idea why people collect this stuff. Doesn't matter to me, but they do.
Yeah,
it's important to them.
Yeah, there's so many parallels on like and not to demean it. It's like, but that's a very simple use case of an NFT, right? Tradable token, this card that you relate with because you love basketball, and have you resold any yet? Is that something you've been doing?
You know what? I haven't placed any of them on the marketplace. I've been like this hoarder of just moments. And I've actually been keeping unopened packs, which I think most people aren't doing. Sure. I'm just like, I'm going to keep a couple of these packs unopened. Like, let's see what happens.
I remember literally going to the store and buying like baseball or hockey cards, and you get the stick of gum, but you open it and it's like, shit, what am I going to get? And it's so exciting. It has the exact same feeling, maybe even at a higher level. It might be a little bit elevated, but as an artist, when I think about, like, when you mentioned a song, I think it's so much more. I think right now we are definitely in this NFT frenzy, this buzz where, you know what? There's probably like 4,000 crypto heads driving the market up, and they just had money, Bitcoin and ETH, and they're early investors. So they have all this currency sitting in this digital wallet that they can't really use. Finally, now there's something to buy.
Right.
Now there's a non-fungible token, not a fungible token. So it's like, oh my God, I can go spend this. Right now it's digital art. But I mean, what's going to come once this bubble kind of not burst, but just settles and people start to see what the long tail is? It's going to be incredible. Like, I think of it going back to like an artist lens. For me, it's not about, like, selling a song is really interesting. The idea of giving a fan the ability to own a piece of a new OLP song is, I mean, Bowie did an IPO, I don't know, probably about 10 years ago. I never got in it, but man, if I could have owned a piece of Life on Mars, that'd be pretty dope.
Yeah,
right.
Of course.
So I think for fans of that, there's the same thing. The Beeple, it's funny. I was working with Beeple like 2 weeks before he dropped his first thing. He was about to do, and I'm saying this in the hopes that he hears this and I can guilt him a bit, because we did a Zoom just like this, and we're talking about this song we have it's called Stop Making Stupid People Famous. He loved the idea, he loved the song, and he basically was like, okay, let's do a video for this. And I was like, are you serious? He's like, I love the band, let's do it. And so we talked about a concept. I was like, just, take your time, be back. And then he kind of went dark and was ghosting me. And then I saw, okay.
And then you saw what
made
happened.
Like $4 million in 5 minutes. And I was like, Mike, his name's Mike Winkleman. I was like, good on you, dude. Like, that's awesome.
Explain to people who Beeple is. I mean, you and I know because we're running in these circles, but a lot of our listeners are going to have no clue what you're talking about.
Yeah. So Beeple is Mike Winkleman. He's from North Carolina. He's a great graphic artist, like digital artist that's been posting on Instagram for years. And I follow him, and he's got probably 2 or 3 million followers, and he does it every day. He puts up a new image that it's not just some slap together thing. It's like, he is political. He's socially conscious. He's culturally aware. He gets it, and his stuff it's so dope. So right. I take screenshots of the ones I love, and anyway, he was one of the first guys to really put out an NFT and show the world, like, wow, this art has value, even if it's just digitally, and people will pay a lot of money for it. So, if you look at, you go on Google and you look at the curve, it's really this hockey stick curve right around when he launched his first NFTs.
Of course.
And subsequently, then you get guys like,
and now they're being resold. They're being resold for some crazy money now. The Beeple aftermarket is just insane.
It is. And here's the interesting thing. When you talk about an artist, and obviously he's an artist as well, whether you're a musician, a graphic artist, or any type of artist, now you have the ability, because if I sold you a painting and you went to sold us something, if it was my painting, sold it to you, my wife's a painter, so she sells you an original self-portrait, you decide to sell it to someone else, she's not participating in that sale.
Right.
Beeple is participating because NFTs also have smart contracts built into them, which is, you know, part of the Ethereum value prop. It's like he sets like, hey, if you go resell this and it gets resold, the lifetime value of that piece of work is now exponential because he's going to participate all the way through. So he makes a percentage. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Cool.
That doesn't exist in the traditional art world.
No, or even in the traditional world of the Gretzky rookie, if you're lucky enough to have one.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
You traded that away a while ago, and now you're looking at the price of it. You're not participating in it.
That's it, and that's it. And so it lets you be less speculative as the artist, because it's like whatever the market goes doesn't matter. I'm still participating.
For sure. So we've said you just kind of mentioned this, but you're seeing in the electronic music world a lot of artists going towards NFTs.
Yeah.
I mean, way more so than the rock world right now. I mean, besides you guys, I can't even think of another rock band doing it. Maybe you could enlighten us with a couple.
Kings of Leon tried, and I love that band, but man, it was a fail. I feel like the story is
what went wrong?
They went up on OpenSea, which is more like it's just open, like Nifty Gateway. These are NFT marketplaces. Nifty Gateway, Makers Place, Foundation. They're all highly curated, and so you get to take advantage of, like, they're only dropping 10 NFTs this week, and so you get you get that front page, you get the marketing dollars there on that. Where OpenSea, it's like, I mean, it literally is
everything.
It couldn't be a better. Yeah, I wouldn't call it a flea market because that's demeaning, but it there's too much, right? It's a lot to ingest for a user or a buyer. Kings of Leon obviously did some deal with them. They put and what they did was they just put up basically what should be more of a VIP thing off their own .com as NFTs. So they're selling like front row tickets and park your, we'll give you an SUV to a show and you can park by the bus. Like that doesn't I think what I love about the potential of NFTs in this whole space is to elevate art, is to elevate what, like, we've lost the connection between, like, vinyl's having a surge again because I think people want to own something, and B, because we've lost that connection to the visual part of albums.
The visual part. I mean, I love getting an album and going through it, reading lyrics in it, looking at pictures in it.
I agree. And so everything existing in our lives as thumbnails is not, like, I think we're getting over it pretty quickly. So what NFTs now can do is bring back that visual, and on like steroids, where now it's moving. It's not just GIFs. It's like really intricate things. And you're starting to see even the space evolve over the last month, where some of the stuff that's being dropped now is like, whoa, this is next level graphic, motion graphics, like really cool stuff. And I think the Kings of Leon, unfortunately, was just like not even a cash grab. I think someone went to charity. So there's a lot of goodness around it, but the actual NFTs themselves did nothing to educate a user in terms of why this could be different and why this has such great potential for the future.
That's really that's really interesting. I mean, I love the nostalgia of, like, even when you just opened up a piece of vinyl, just the smell that came out of the packaging. You were just, you opened up the record. The first thing you would do, you wouldn't even put the record on. You were like, let me get inside the booklet. Now in the NFT world, I could interact with OLP. You could probably have more digital assets beyond just your music creativity come out. Whether it be a video or some sort of art piece, and all that can come packaged into an album to actually bring back that real fan experience.
Yeah, and I think what it does, and look, I think what's really interesting about when you talk about this space is that proof of concept's there. So Patreon is a platform that different people, whether you're a writer or artist, or whatever, you create accounts and people basically pay a sub. So they pay like a $4.99 monthly subscription to your Patreon page, and if we don't have one, but if I had one there, I would dump like maybe some new lyrics, or maybe a little acoustic performance I shot on my phone, or maybe a demo of a song, and you kind of serve those super fans through this Patreon thing. So that works. I know a young female fronted band in Mexico that think they make 40 grand a month on their Patreon page. So
awesome.
like it works, right?
Yeah.
They don't even have a record deal, but it works. So fans will pay for stuff if you are kind of engaged with them. And what that shows me is two things: is one, the money's out there and fans want to buy things, and two, that they're looking for more engagement than just going on Spotify, you know? So
for sure.
And so if you think of an NFT like a digital Patreon account or a bucket, it's like, now I can sell maybe an OLP token to a fan or whatever you want to encompass in an NFT, and it's live. It's like maybe you're going to wake up next Tuesday morning and you get a notification on the Sing app that, hey, I just dropped like a new song or a studio, clip of a session or, digital lyrics or whatever. And it becomes this dynamic, moving kind of, piece of content. And I think giving fans something with lifetime value like that is huge.
That's huge. Do you see yourself doing stuff strictly for your token holders in the future? Like,
man,
how do you see that playing out? Right. Like I look at this and I go, I'm doing the NBA Top Shot thing, or if I did like a Beeple thing, or like, and I started picking up some art. My hope is, hey, not only am I showing that I'm an engaged fan, I'm hoping that I get some exclusive offer to do something to engage more with that particular artist.
Yeah, I think you said it. Like exclusivity is big, and again, these are like proof of concept is already in the marketplace. So when we do a vinyl pressing or an exclusive merch item, like an exclusive shirt for a tour, that stuff sells out right away. So right away. Keeping that momentum and that kind of thought process in the NFT space, it's going to work. I mean, Cuban's doing it with tickets, right? Like any Maverick ticket holder is going to walk out and they're going to get an NFT with their ticket, from that game. That's dope. That's dope.
That's dope. Really dope.
When music comes back live, we're going to be the leaders in that space in terms of what we offer people when they're at a show. It's going to be sick.
Yeah, it was kind of like I remember Prince did this, and Prince did a concert. And he was like, "You have to come to my concert, and that's the only way you're going to get this album. I'm not going to release it on iTunes. It's not going to be anywhere else. Sure, the pirate world's going to go crazy with it. Yeah, if you wanted that album, you have to come see him live.
That's right? That's it. So, it's back to those experiences, and we're all emotional beings. So to get stuff that you can only get in the moment, and that's why these auctions go crazy right away and things sell out. But we are that. And like I said, we've got away from like ownership in a weird way. We don't need to have, licenses, and they don't want to buy homes anymore. Everyone's just so kind of, there's an ambiguity to ownership that I think like inside of ourselves, we want to be part of things. And this is a great way to be part of stuff again.
And I think the inexperienced stuff again. I think we got lost in just the Spotify world of, I have every song in the palm of my hand. And, like when was the last time I listened to an album cover to cover,
right,
from beginning to end? And I missed that. Like, there was always obscure songs that the radio would never play or nobody else would even know, but I know all the lyrics to. Biggie Smalls definitely knows that. He hears me rapping all the
time. Yeah, for sure.
But I mean, that's a good example. I guess Ready to Die was one of those albums, just like cover to cover was just on nonstop. And so now you can go back into providing those types of experiences, if not even more.
And as long as and the elevation of what those experiences, I think now it's exponential. Before it was like, even with like honestly with OLP, before COVID hit, we were planning a tour, and it's like what else can we offer merch wise that is like new and exciting to us? And we were kind of tapped out. It's like, okay, we'll press some vinyl with like some freaky psychedelic kind of coloring on the vinyl. It's like, cool. Sure. Now that's done. Where else do we go? And we were kind of like, you hit a wall, and now that wall is broken down, man. There's I spend half my day either talking to artists or creators on like how many different iterations and ideas of an NFT can there be, and it's going to be incredible. It's just going to.
You laid up the next question for me, and the next question for me was like, you must be spending so much time with artists trying to figure this stuff out. Going, hey, Raine, help me out. What do I do here? And so
well, both. I definitely try to not be the smartest guy in the room. So it's definitely talking to a lot of people that are already in like Web 3.0 or the metaverse already. Because I think that's ultimately where this goes. So seeing the potential there and seeing guys that have been kind of at this for a while and where they see it go. I mean, we see it with kids. My kids play Fortnite. They don't have a problem paying $10 for a skin. Now, what happens if you
Sure.
can take that skin and put it into NBA 2K? Like that
Right.
is, you know, that's the next level. And so I think when you talk about these experiences, what you're touching on before, that's where this stuff starts to go. And like, wow, you know, having that interoperability between platforms, it's going to be amazing.
So is that like all the product roadmap for the Sing app? Like, was that where you guys are like taking this company? Like, what comes next? What could fans and people who downloaded the app or haven't downloaded the app, what could they expect next to come out?
Yeah. So I mean, you know, we've been just talking about this for a minute, and like the app store is blowing up. Like I think the app actually crashed on Sunday because we had too many downloads in a short period of time.
It's a great problem to have.
Yeah, but so what, you know,
not the right experience, but it's a great,
it's
a great problem.
The thing is, right now, what we have, what's in the app store right now, if you download Sing, is like you can start uploading content. So if whether you're a graphic creator or you're a musician, photographer, whatever, we just say, hey, upload all that stuff. It costs you nothing, and what you're creating are NFTs. And the app goes deeper. If you're a musician and you have you know, if you co-wrote a song, you can put a split sheet in there. You can write in lyrics. You can make notes, all that stuff, and you can be confident that you've created, you know, a piece of content that is on the blockchain. It's registered. You can flip your card over. It kind of works like the Apple Wallet, where you put your boarding passes and movie tickets and credit cards and Starbucks card and all that stuff. So it has that kind of usability, and you can just flip a card and you can actually see the hash. So you can click on that hash and it'll take you to Etherscan and you can see that it's registered. So you have confidence there. You don't need to do that, but if you are,
you are doing it, you got it. Yeah.
If you want to do it, you have confidence that it's there. So what we're telling people is just start uploading all the stuff you want for free. If you trade stuff, or if you not trade, I say, but if you share it. So if I have a new OLP demo that I want to share with you, I'll send it to you. And now if I send it through Sing, I know I'm protected, you know. So anywhere else you send it, it's like I'm going to be able to track that chain of custody, which is amazing. But the next step for us is launching the marketplace, which is being built in the background. So pretty soon, you're going to be able to connect those NFTs to OpenSea, which we have built an API for. So you can go sell them on OpenSea, but you'll also be able to connect to our marketplace. And I got to say, like, there's not one wallet out there that allows you to kind of just what you would do. Like, I know you can't take your NBA cards off of Top Shots, but if you buy something, is that true? Right? That's true. You can't take them off.
Them off. They're on there.
So I think there will be public pressure because you own these things. It's like, hey, I want to be able to do what I want, and I want the Sing wallet's a perfect wallet where it's like, hey, if I bought something from Nifty, from Beeple, you have your NBA cards. You bought something on OpenSea from, you know, some Toronto artist you love or Miami artist you love. Now you throw them all in the Sing wallet, and if we're sitting in a bar, you can just open it and flip through them and show me what you got.
Sure, and we can trade, and we can do a whole bunch
of things with them. And that doesn't exist. So the kind of holistic effect of what the Sing wallet, where it starts, and the fact that you can get your stuff back into it and just create your own gallery is pretty powerful. And then the stuff that's coming in between with our studio and marketplace is like, it's cutting edge. We're really going to kind of, I think, be leaders in this space in terms of, you know, allowing, like I said before, I think right now it's kind of being driven by, you know, people that understand crypto. Our goal is to get the everyday fan and make that experience of buying something, whether it's a Calvin Harris or a Deadmau5 or OLP or whoever, like friction. It's just basically like going on Amazon or using your Apple Pay to buy something. It's not about having to download a MetaMask wallet and get ETH or convert.
Let's take all the friction.
Take it all away.
Make it simply easy. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's our mission.
So we're hearing a ton about Flow and the Flow blockchain, and like a lot of artists are jumping towards it. You want to like give a quick crash course because you're doing a great job explaining this stuff. I'm even learning while we're talking. What's up with Flow? Like, it seems like every single NFT provider is starting to like really place their bet in that particular technology.
Yeah, I mean, I you know, to be honest, I'm not like so up on it to you know, it's what I know about it. It's very like developer friendly. I think it's very, again, when you talk about how do people get into the space early and get this technology up, it's, I think it's game oriented. There's a simplicity to it. I don't know what I compare it to in the tech world, but that's just, I can't go much deeper than that. We're not using that, but I get it.
You get it. Here's another one that, and I'm going to ask you some questions that, you, on the flip side of the excitement that we're starting to see, there's a lot of talk about regulation and like, hey, how can we regulate NFTs? And my first thought on that is regulate NFTs. You got a ledger of everything. Like that's the first thing. But there's definitely talk about regulation. The second thing that comes up on the flip side is this is not good for the environment. This is actually really bad for the environment. It's using up all this computing power and electricity. Yep. And so where do you see, like, how do you see NFTs evolving to actually decrease those two concerns?
I would never argue. I think the mining part of it is real. Like it's a lot of computing power, and it takes a lot of energy for sure. We kind of bet on the block and Ethereum because I think 2.0 promises like kind of like down to zero carbon footprint overnight. Now, that's supposed to come in 2022. We don't have a date, so I'm not gonna, it's hard to stand up for something where we don't know exactly when it's going to launch. But I think there's enough confidence in the space that it is going to change. I try not to get into like a moral kind of purity debate because there's so many other things that are happening as well. This is definitely one of them, and if we can mitigate something, absolutely. But I think you're going to see this cross section where those costs come down in terms of carbon footprint on the environment, but what it's doing in terms of removing other middlemen, other sources and constructs, especially for this creator world, it's we'll get there. It'll probably take a couple of years, but those environmental concerns hopefully go away, and people see, look, the average artist, I think they live about $4,000 above the poverty line. So,
wow.
Yeah. So I think bringing in a new technology that allows people to look at, and look, I'm obviously a huge proponent, and I just stand up for the arts, and being from Canada, we've kind of had that instilled in our brains that the arts are important. And that's why there's all these different grants and funds that the arts give to people compared to, you talk to an artist down here, the idea of getting $10,000 from the government to make a record or create a website or start a marketing campaign for a tech company doesn't they're like, that's a dream, right? That doesn't happen.
Yeah, of course.
But it does in Canada. So what we're seeing now is with NFTs in this space is the ability to really kind of elevate what an artist has in terms of distribution, monetization, and community building. And so those three pillars, changing or removing the constructs on those pillars, is like, it's going to change the art world. And that's why I get the carbon footprint part of this, but I think that's going to be mitigated to where the upside of what you see with art and becoming something that you can tell your kids, yeah, you know what, you can make a living being an artist again. That's a good
of course. Thing. Yeah, for sure. So let's get to OLP. You, on your latest album, said, hey, you're going to drop one of the singles. I think it was your 11th single you said you were going to put out as an NFT. How'd that go over with like everybody else in the band? They think you were crazy. Like, walk me through a little bit about, but I mean, you guys bet on this way early. So like this explosion we're seeing now, wasn't there.
Yeah. I mean, you know what's funny? So the album we're making right now is called Spiritual Machines 2. So it was based on a concept record we made back in, I think, 2003 called The Age of Spiritual Machines. Ray Kurzweil, futurist predictions, crazy predictions you made in that book about where we would be basically around now. So this is why we felt it was the right time to kind of do, not a retrospective, like the music. Dave Siddick from TV on the Radio produced the record. It sounds like future rock. But so Ray, on the first album, we recorded him kind of talking about some of the bigger predictions in the book, talking about AI, singularity, cochlear implants, like crazy things, autonomous driving, all these things that he predicted. Now it comes back 20 years later, 87% of his predictions came true. So Ray is again talking in this book. So when I think about like releasing a song, and he was talking about AI actually writing songs, and there's actually, so there's,
and you're seeing AI art now too, which is really cool.
There's a site out there called Boomy that you just basically hit a button and it creates a song and they're making millions of dollars of this AI generated music on Spotify. It's insane.
That's insane to me.
So Ray, who is this incredible futurist, live forever kind of guy, just an amazing man, amazing talent. He's like founder of Singularity University up in the Valley. Like, I think he works for Google now. Anyway, to have him back on the album and talking about like what's predictive next, talking about UBI, talking about singularity for real, and then NFTs and digital art. He doesn't talk about that, but it feels like it's a very natural thing. Like, it feels like this is the future and we're living it in real time, and especially having Ray on this record. And it's just like the timing is impeccable. And so, yeah, the band was like, what do you mean we're going to give it away? And I said, you're not really giving it away. And we haven't really decided yet. We're either going to give away the master side or the publishing side. But I go back to that Bowie thing. Like, if I just wasn't up to speed on it, I guess I was too young, but if I could have owned a piece of Bowie's publishing, I definitely would have done that.
You would have
done it, yeah. Yeah, I think so. For a fan now, and maybe they have to be a super fan, but like, hey, you can own a piece of this song and we have a contract together now. So you're participating with this band that you've liked maybe since Clumsy or something for the next 20 years, like on this song. And maybe Nike uses it in an ad. You're part
of it. Yeah.
Like, so I think it's just opening doors for the way that we have these relationships with our fans. And that's what I love. Like, forget about the money, forget about, the technology side of it. At the end of the day, it's creating this really great emotional experience that you get to have with fans that I think we're looking for new ways to do that.
For sure. So when's it drop? You got dates? What's happening?
We do. Well, we're going to drop it on the Sing Marketplace, which is coming in the next few weeks. So yeah, just kind of getting everything, it's funny. Nadia from Pussy Riot, she guests on this song and she's been dropping NFTs on Foundation and doing really well. And it's just, the whole culture of this is like, it's getting to a nice place where it's the big frenzy's kind of like, it's cascading into this like sustainable thing. People aren't talking about it yet, but it's happening.
Love it. Raine, thank you so much for your time, man. This has been an action-packed hour on NFTs. I'm telling you, dude, I learned a lot just from talking on this. I'm supposed to be somebody who's well-versed in this and wrote a blog about it. I'm still learning a ton right now. So I'm really
learning every day too, man. I'm learning every day.
I mean, it's a fast-moving space, and so we'll keep each other up to date on how things go. But good luck with the new album, man. And thank you so much for joining us on the podcast.
Thanks, Sheetal. Appreciate it, man.